So we will do the same thing. First of all, we will read the question, just the question. Okay. Yeah, I'll give you some time to read this question. So just read it. This is related to science. It's comparatively easy question if it is related to science because you have some science background. So yeah. So let me read this one. The Doppler effect refers to perceived change in pitch that occurs when the source of sound is in motion. Okay, source of sound is in motion. This is the first thing relative to the observer. For example, the siren on a passing police car will sound higher than its true pitch as the car approaches, sound the same as its true pitch as the car passes, and sounds lower than its true pitch as the car travels away from the observer. So, yeah, this is a common observation we all of us had at some point. Okay, so this is called Doppler effect. If two trains pass each other going opposite direction on a parallel east-west tracks, which of the following observation provides another illustration of the effect described above? So you have to, he will give some option related to some moving trains. You have to tell like which is basically representing Doppler effect. Okay, so let's go to answer choices. What about first one? If the eastbound train blows its horn as they pass, passenger on the westbound train will hear a sound that decreases in pitch. Is it correct or incorrect? Or if you want to read all the option, you can.
So E will not be the answer.
E will not be the answer. Why?
Uh, Here there is no. We are not talking. I mean, in this paragraph, there is no
Mhm.
study pitch. There is
Yes, that's correct. So Doppler effect will come into picture when source of sound is in motion relative to the observer. If it is steady, then there is no Doppler effect. So this is incorrect. What about D? Okay, so do you think like if eastbound train blows horn, okay, then Doppler effect will be observed by the passengers on the eastbound train? I mean, they are
no,
not,
no, no,
yeah.
sir. It will be observed by the opposite direction.
So this is also incorrect, and I think this is also incorrect. Okay, so you're
Hmm.
left with two answer choices. What about A and B?
So B is correct.
B is correct. Why?
So if the train crosses each other, then the pitch will increase. If they,
Um,
if they
yes,
go away,
blows
then
it horn as they pass, the pitch will increase. That's correct. That's what he gave example in this one. Like if you are standing somewhere, police car is coming towards you, pitch will increase. Same thing like if you are sitting in a train, another train is passing by, so pitch will increase. So this is the correct answer. Pitch will not decrease. Pitch will decrease when that train pass and going away from you. But when it is coming, then pitch will increase. Okay, so B is the correct answer. This is a simple one, basically, because it's scientific. We can easily answer the science. Yeah.
So I've been like telling the answer, but I was muted.
Oh, okay, okay. No problem. This is for you to understand. It's fine. Okay. So yes, this is very simple. Sometimes you are lucky, you will get this type of questions, which is very, very simple, but not every time. Let's go to other next one. So this is a typical question. You have to find the assumption of the argument. So if above one is argument, what you have to do first, you have to find the conclusion, then you have to find the premise on which that conclusion is made. Then you have to go after assumption. Okay. So read it and tell me what's the conclusion of this. Okay, so I will read it. The popular notion that a tree's age can be determined by counting the number of internal rings in its trunk is generally true. Okay, however, to help regulate the internal temperature of the tree, the outermost layer of wood of the Brazilian ash often peel away when the temperature exceeds 95 degrees Fahrenheit, leaving the tree with fewer rings than it would otherwise have. So only if the temperature in the Brazilian ash environment never exceed 95 degrees Fahrenheit, it will its ring be reliable measure of tree age. Okay. So this is the argument. What's the conclusion? Anyone?
Um, so conclusion,
Mhm.
um, that like conclusion is that the temperature must be below 95 degrees Fahrenheit
Which line
for
you are
the
saying? This one?
so the last line.
Last line? Read last line again what it is saying. That's true. Last one is the conclusion because it has this word so. So means after that, whatever it is going to write, it is a conclusion. Only if, read this statement, only if the temperature in the Brazilian ash environment never exceeds 95 degrees Fahrenheit, will its ring be reliable measure? So this is the conclusion. When rings will be the reliable measure when the temperature is below the 95 degrees. Okay. You have to understand conclusion very, very correctly. Then only you can attack on the assumption. So he's saying rings are only reliable measure when temperature is 95 below 95 degrees Fahrenheit for this Brazilian ash environment. Okay, if you have to find the assumption, okay, assumption, so you have to attack this thing basically. You have to find something where even if temperature is exceeding the 95 degrees, okay, temperature is basically exceeding the 95 degrees, then also we can measure something. We can measure correctly that basically the age of this trees. Okay, sorry, I'm confusing you. So the basically conclusion is saying you can only rely on these rings if temperature is below 95 degrees. If somehow you find some option which is saying like if temperature is above 95 degrees, then also you can basically predict the correct temperature, then this whole argument is wrong basically. Okay, so if it is wrong, you have to find some option where this is the assumption, like there is no correct measurement of the ring, no correct measurement of the age if the temperature is increasing the 95 degrees Fahrenheit. It may confuse you. Let's go to options. But for that, understand the conclusion first of all very well. Okay, so you have to find assumptions for this one. So read the option. The growth of new rings in a tree is not a function of level of precipitation. So we don't have to go for the rain because he's not talking about rain. It's just talking about the temperature. So this is out of context, right?
So D is also not be the answer. I think the internal links
The,
all of are of uniform thickness.
yeah, when he's talking about all trees and in the paragraph he's talking about this Brazilian's ash,
Yeah.
then it's out of context. Okay, what next we can.
So the B one could not be the answer. I think only the Brazilian ash loses rings because of excessive heat.
Yes. So this is not an assumption, basically. It is neither making the conclusion strong or weaker. Only the Brazilian, he is talking only about Brazilian ash, not other trees. So there is no sense of this option. Basically, this also we can reject. What about C and E?
So C is cannot be. I think only 1 day of temperature above. Yeah, we are not
Mm.
talking about 1 day of temperature.
When you have to find the assumption, basically, okay, so answer choice must be like that. If that answer choice is correct, whole argument is either wrong. Okay, so not either wrong, whole argument is wrong. If basically you remove that assumption, the whole argument is wrong. Okay, so here he is saying only 1 day of temperature above 95 degree is needed to cause the Brazilian ash to lose a ring. Okay, if this is true, then it is making this argument strong, not weak. Basically, if you see, so here also it is saying like if temperature is above 95, then we cannot rely on the internal rings. And actually it is not making it weak or strong. It is talking about something else. It's saying like 1 day is required to lose the ring. So this doesn't have to do anything with the overall idea of the argument. This I would say this is also wrong. If you read the answer choice E, then what do you think about that?
So
If
this
I'm
is
saying, yeah, this is correct. Obviously, this is correct because other four are wrong. But why this is correct? Because the number of rings that will be lost when the temperature exceeds 95 degrees Fahrenheit is not predictable. If I'm saying it's predictable, okay. If I'm saying this is predictable, then this whole argument is wrong. Why? Because in conclusion, he is saying so only if temperature is below 95 degrees Fahrenheit, then rings are reliable. Otherwise, it's not. But if I'm saying I can calculate, for example, like number of rings which is lost, okay, number of rings which is lost is directly proportional to degree of temperature. Directly proportional to degree of temperature, I mean like how much temperature is increased. For example, one ring will be lost for 1 Fahrenheit increase in temperature, then it is predictable, right? You can measure the temperature always. For example, temperature is 100, so you can see like, okay, if temperature is 100, it's above 95, so 5 rings will be lost. And you have some measure to predict, then also you have some measure to predict the exact age of the tree. Okay, so whatever rings you got, okay, and you also measure the temperature 1 day, I would say like it's above 95 and it's 100, it's 5 degree above. So you can say like, okay, 5 rings will be lost. Whatever rings you got on the tree, you can just add 5 and predict the age. Okay, so this is the assumption, like you cannot predict the age if temperature is above 95 degrees Fahrenheit. That's why this conclusion is correct. That's why we can say only if it is below the 95, then only it's reliable. Otherwise, it's not reliable. But if you have some measure to basically predict the age if temperature is above 95, then this whole argument doesn't make any sense. So this is the assumption for basically this argument. Is it making sense or you are confused?
So not confused, but could you please
Mhm.
remind me the trick once again, so that we can find the assumption for the just like the above argument. Is there any trick? Sorry, I forgot the about the last class.
Yeah. So trick is, first of all, you have to find the conclusion. Okay. So you have to basically you have to understand the conclusion very well. So here he's saying if it is below 95, then rings are reliable measure, otherwise it's not. Okay, so this is the conclusion you keep in mind. When he is talking about assumption, like which assumption on which this argument depends, so you directly have to come back to conclusion, and you have to find some option which is making this conclusion stronger or weaker. Okay, so if I remove this not word from this option, so I am saying it is predictable. If temperature is exceeding 95 degrees Fahrenheit, it is predictable. So this conclusion is weak. Okay, this conclusion is very weak, and then this whole argument is wrong. If I'm saying it is not predictable, then basically this conclusion is very strong. Like this conclusion is correct in that way. So you always have to find the option which uh, on which like this conclusion is either strong or weak. So you have to find some this type of option. There is no particular trick for this one. This is your understanding, basically understanding of the conclusion and understanding of the option. But option should be like this: if that is true, then argument is strong. If that is not true, then argument is weak. So you have to find that type of option. Other trick to answer this question is like find all the wrong options. If you are able to find like this is wrong, this is wrong, this is not doing anything with the conclusion, then you can land up in the last final answer. Okay, so that's why this is English aptitude. GR is about English aptitude. This is not like mathematics or some formula is there you can exactly plug in. Sometimes it's your understanding. Okay, so the more you practice, the better understanding you will get. So you'll do more question. This is typical GRE question. I would say this is not easy, but if you do this for like 10 to 15 questions of this type, then immediately you are able to recognize like this is the correct answer. Okay. Let's do another one. Yeah, read this.
So red.
Okay, then I'll read this. The celiac disease result from an inability of digestive tract, specifically the small intestine, to absorb gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and certain other grains. So this, if you can see, like this is a complex sentence. Always while reading, just stop here where there is some punctuation, like comma, something like that. So you can always stop there to understand this type of sentence. Okay. The body's immune system attack the gluten as if protein were a harmful pathogen, often resulting in serious damage to intestinal lining. Okay, people who suffer from this disease must eliminate gluten from their diets. Symptoms of the disease include abdominal cramps, bloating, and anemia. If the statements above are true, which of the following assertion can be made on the basis of them? Okay, so before going to answer choices, just guess like from where it will uh, give you options. First option, according to me, he will obviously give one answer choice on the basis of this. He's saying symptoms of this disease includes this three things. Okay. So one option, I think he must give you like uh if person is feeling from these three things, obviously it is this celiac disease. Okay. But this is not true. This is just the symptoms. There this can be the symptom for other disease as well. Okay. So GRE question will generally come like this. If question is of this type, like on the basis of above information which is 100% true, so he will obviously give you one option from this one. He's saying symptom of the disease this, but this can be symptom for other disease as well. So reverse is not true. If some person has these three things, it doesn't mean it has celiac disease. This is the one option I'm 100% sure you will find in the answer choices. What other thing you can just you can be 100% true about that, or what are you
So the
basically.
body's immune system attacks the
Mhm.
gluten.
Mhm. Yeah, so think like which option he will give out of this information. I mean, like he will never he will give you directly the same information in the option. He will just I mean he will change the information and give you in the indirect way.
So
It's not, yeah.
the last second line is people who suffer from celiac disease must eliminate gluten from their diets. If
Mm,
the person is suffering from celiac disease,
mm,
he or she must eliminate
mm.
gluten.
Mm. So I think from this line he will give you option. This is my guess. He will give you from this option. Like if person is eliminating gluten from their diet, he will never get this disease. Okay, but this is not true. This is true. This what this line is saying. If person is having this disease, then he must eliminate. But this is not true. If person is eliminating the gluten, he is free of this disease. He can cure this disease, basically celiac disease. Are you understanding my point?
Right, right. Yeah, yes,
Yeah.
sir.
So he will give you that type of option where information is given in one way, but he will give you reverse and he will say like this is correct, but that is never correct. You have to understand that this is like GRE aptitude. Okay. Let's go to option. If we guess two, then it's good. Yeah. Anyone who suffers from celiac disease will experience anemia.
Sir, anemia is one of the symptom of this.
Symptom. Yeah. Okay. So we'll come back to this one. What about B?
Yes, eliminating gluten from one's diet
Yeah.
will cure celiac disease.
Yes. This is what I was asking.
Mm.
Like this he is giving from this one. He's saying here, if you have this disease, then must eliminate. But it doesn't mean if you eliminate the gluten, you will never have this disease. So this piece of information is incorrect, I would say. Are you understanding this one? This will
Hmm.
never cure the disease. Okay.
If you have that disease, then you can eliminate. Then you must eliminate. Sorry.
Yes, yes, yes. But it will not
Mm.
cure. It is not like
Yeah.
if you're not eating gluten. Yeah. Then what about C?
The
That is
third
what
one is
another option.
yes.
Yeah.
People experience abdominal cramps. These are the uh, again the symptoms of if the
Yes.
person may be suffering from celiac disease.
Correct. So this is what I was talking about. If you have these three symptoms, it doesn't mean you always have this disease. Maybe this is a symptom for other disease as well. So this is again not 100% true. Partially it is true, but not 100%. Gluten is found only in grains. We cannot judge from this one. Gluten, a protein found in wheat, barley, and certain other grains. So maybe it can found in some
In
other substances also. So this is not
hmm,
100% true again.
hmm.
Now E. First we'll come to A. Anyone who suffers from celiac disease will experience. anemia. These are the one of the symptoms. Maybe he will not experience all. Maybe he will not
Mm.
feel anemia. Maybe he will feel abdominal cramps. So this is again not 100% true. Partially it is true. Now this one, this is the correct answer, but you have to understand like how he is giving information, because this is basically useful in other questions also of the same type. So he's saying human body cannot always recognize harmless substance. So this type of option, he didn't mention it specifically in the passage. Author never mentioned this specifically in the passage, but he give you some example. Okay. What he's saying, the body's immune system attacked the gluten as if protein were a harmful pathogen. So he's explaining this information from some example of gluten. So gluten is not harmful, but immune system is taking it at harmful pathogen. And now he's saying human body cannot always recognize harmless substance. So that is true basically, because gluten is not harmful. Okay, but body is taking it as harmful pathogen. So our body cannot always recognize the correct substances, harmless substances like gluten. Gluten is harmless, but body cannot recognize. Is it making sense?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So when you read this option, after a while, you will basically get, okay, if this type of option is there, information is not directly given, but indirectly it is correct. So that is always the correct answer. So this is how you have to attack this 48th question. Now come to 49th, which is, I think, tricky. So the question is, which of the following, if true, most seriously weakens the argument? Okay, when you have this type of question, find the conclusion first of all. You have to find the correct conclusion. Done. What's the conclusion for this?
This evidence shows.
This evidence shows that. So this means after this one, it is the conclusion. The way in which the mind recognizes difference among the color object is not influenced by culture. Okay, when you have to weaken this argument, you have to find some option where it is written like uh, written like this recognizing of colored object is influenced by culture. You have any question? Okay, so yeah, this is what I'm explaining. The way in which mind recognizes difference among colored objects is not influenced by culture. This is the conclusion, not influenced by culture. And what if you have to weak this one, what you have to find where it is influenced by culture. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, then we will go to answer choices and see. So you should be very, very sure what you are looking for in the answer choices. So in the answer choices, we are going to look for some option where it is saying it is influenced by color option. It's influenced by culture. Okay, so what about A? While language differ in their number of basic color terms, no language has been conclusively determined to have more than 11 such terms. Whether it is saying anything about culture, culture is influencing something, color recognition.
No.
No, so this is correct. Irrelevant. What about B?
It
Every language contains mechanisms by which speaker who perceives subtle difference in hue can describe those difference. He is saying here people can describe the subtle differences. In hue means color, band of color, we call it as hue. Okay, where we have different colors. Okay, so he's saying people in every language, people basically can every language contain mechanism where people basically recognize that subtle difference. This is not weakening the argument, this is making it strong. Is it clear?
yes.
So this is again incorrect. What about C? So again, in C, he's not mentioning something like where culture is influencing their power to recognize the colors. So if he's not talking about that, we will again tell like this is incorrect. Now D, several languages. Now he's talking about some culture or some languages. Okay, so yeah, read this one. Several languages such as Vietnamese and Pashto use a single term to mean both blue and green. But speaker of such language commonly refer to tree leaves or the sky to resolve ambiguous utterances. So again, this is making argument strong. This is saying like, okay, in their language, if they don't have different, I mean, like single term means both blue and green, but they can differentiate by giving the reference of tree, leaves, and sky. So they have some sense like this is green is different, blue is different. So this is again making the argument strong, not weak. Okay, is it making sense?
Hmm.
Yeah. Now see, now check the E and tell me like why this is correct.
So here they are talking about the two languages. I mean, two
Mhm.
native speakers.
One is Spanish and other one is Tarahumara. I don't know which one is this, but yes. So what they are, what is the context of this option? So here they are
Two
saying like
culture.
in
They are.
this,
I mean, here they are comparing the two cultures.
Mhm. Yes, and for this culture, what they are saying, their
Blue and
language
green.
doesn't, yeah, their language does not distinguish between blue and green. So due to this, they were less able to identify the distinction. Okay, among blue and green chips than native of speakers of Spanish, which can distinguish. So here they are saying something like if they have different culture, different language, and if in language there is no distinction between blue and green, so they are less able to identify the difference than Spanish, where there is a difference between blue and green. So this is what making the argument weaken. Okay, why I'm saying so? In the conclusion, it is saying like mind recognized difference among color object is not influenced by culture. But here they are giving example where uh, basically in culture they have different they don't have distinction between blue and green and they are less able to identify the distinction. Okay, is it making sense?
Yes.
uh, yeah, so this question, like I would say this has very uh, I would say like this has very large options, so sometimes it may seem complex when you are doing actual exam because you have to read a lot. But if you understand the conclusion very, very correctly and you have specific thing in your mind like what you are looking for in the option, you can easily hit these type of questions. So logic based reading comprehension is easy. I would say only thing you have to do is understand the conclusion very well. Okay. Yeah, so last time also we saw one this type of question. So here, wherever he bolds two line, you have to just find the relation among them. Okay. So the strategy before you give the answer strategy for this question is you have to find the conclusion again. One information, like it's very standard. One information is making that conclusion strong, other one is making sometimes other one is conclusion itself. If it is not conclusion, then it is basically either making it strong or weak. So you have to find that before going to answer choices. First thing is find the conclusion. Okay, so I'll read this one. In an attempt to discover the cause of malaria, a deadly infectious disease common in tropical area, earlier European settlers in Hong Kong attribute the malady to poisonous gas supposed to be emanated from low-lying swampland. Okay. Malaria, in fact, translates from the Italian as bad air. Okay. In the 1880s, however, the doctor determined that Anopheles mosquitoes were responsible for transmitting the disease to humans. The females of the species can carry a parasitic protozoa that is passed on to unsuspecting humans when a mosquito feasts on person's blood. What function do the two statements in boldface fulfill with respect to argument presented above? Okay, so what do you think? Where is the conclusion? I think this has two part. One part is starting from here and ending over here. So it's about malaria, and initially, basically, uh, they concluded something for malaria. They concluded like malaria uh, is caused by poisonous gas emanating from the low-lying swampland. But in 1880s, okay, in 1880s, doctor determined that there is some mosquito and he's basically responsible for this malaria. In this case, she's responsible for the malaria. So the female of the species can carry it. Okay. So this is easier for you because one piece of information is the correct explanation, other piece of information is the sorry, one piece of information is incorrect and other piece of information is the correct. But where is the conclusion for this one? Any idea? I would say it has two conclusion basically. One for this piece of information, other for this piece of information. So for first one, what's the conclusion? Conclusion is like they find this poisonous gas, okay, poisonous gas supposed to be emanating from low-lying swampland. Okay, so this is the conclusion. Conclusion is they found the cause of malaria, but that is incorrect. Second one, they find the correct cause of malaria, that is the mosquito. Okay, so this line is the second conclusion, this one. And now what these black bold lines are doing, this is supporting the conclusion. This is giving the explanation for the second theory. So how it actually works. So if mosquito is responsible for malaria, then how it is spreading, what is the mechanism. So this line is explaining the mechanism. Okay. For the correct conclusion. This is the correct conclusion. What first one is doing, First one is basically supporting the incorrect conclusion. Okay, this is not the explanation. This is just another piece of information related to the first conclusion. Is it correct? Is it? Are you understanding it or
Yes, sir.
okay? So you have to keep this thing in mind and go to answer choices. So these questions are tricky because each answer choice, like out of five, you should be very, very clear like why four are incorrect. Okay, so we will start from here. Fifth one. The first provide detail about original and incorrect school of thought. The second provides the judgment later found to be true. Judgment is another word for the conclusion. Okay. So second provides the conclusion later found to be true. Whether second is conclusion, it's not the
No,
conclusion.
no, no,
Conclusion is
no.
in previous line. Okay, so here, first one is correct. The first provide detail about the original and incorrect school of thought. So school of thought means conclusion. Okay, so I would say first is adding some detail to that conclusion. That is correct because first conclusion was sorry. Uh, this one. First conclusion was it is causing by poisonous gas and malaria infect. So it is adding some information to the first incorrect conclusion. First point is correct, but second is incorrect. So overall, this answer choice is wrong. Now come to D. The first identifies the cause of an erroneous conclusion. Whether first is cause,
No.
it's not the cause. It's just some addition of information. So first piece of information is incorrect. No need to go for second one. So again, this is incorrect. The first serves to illuminate a contested assumption. The second offers confirmation of that assumption. Whether there is any
No, sir.
assumption and
No,
yeah,
no,
this
sir.
is again incorrect. The first provides an initial conjecture. Conjecture means like false conclusion, you can say, which is not 100% true. The first provides an initial conjecture. The second prevents evidence which contradicts that conjecture. So second is not related to first in any sense. Second
This
is
is
different
also not
theory.
correct.
Is not correct. So A, the first follows from a mistaken conclusion about a topic in question. Yes, the first is
Hmm.
following from the mistaken conclusion. The second explicates the correct explanation of that topic. That is also correct because second conclusion is like mosquitoes are the cause of this malaria and explicate the correct explanation. This is explaining like how mosquitoes are working basically to spread that malaria. So this is the correct answer choice. These questions are tricky, but you have to learn these type of words. What conjecture means. Okay, when it is saying judgment, it means conclusion, school of thought. So with passage of time, basically you will get. And the trick is before going to answer choices, I would say just understand in your own language what these two lines are representing. Where is the conclusion? If you in this question, 80% work is where is the conclusion. If you understand the conclusion very, very correctly, then you can 85% chances or 90% chances you will land in the correct answer choice. Okay, so yeah, that's what I want to explain today.